Good afternoon, everyone. I feel very much excited and happy to see this August gathering assembled here. Hearty welcome all of you to the webinar on English language teaching, innovating pedagogy and assessment, organized by the Department of English of Christnagar Public School, Maranalloor, in association with Oxford University Press. Let us start the session with some prayerful moments. In the 21st century, significant changes are occurring related to new scientific discoveries. Informatization, globalization, development of astronautics, robotics, and artificial intelligence. This century is called the age of digital technologies and knowledge. Since the beginning of 21st century, there have been many changes in the development of national and world education. The most observable phenomenon is now the internetization of society and the penetration of digital technologies into learning. Innovative pedagogy is the study of being an innovative educator or the processes of innovative education, teaching. And the key question of innovative pedagogy is, what are the educational, psychological, organizational factors or conditions that have a formative effect on the mind, character, or physical ability of an individual? I'm sure that this session will give you more information regarding the innovative pedagogy and assessment in English language teaching. Before we move on to that, I'd like to invite Ms. Ashwati Rajan, one of our faculty members, to extend a cordial welcome to the gathering.
Thank you, ma'am. Respected Reverend Father Chichu Valavantara CMI, our manager, Reverend Father Joshi Mayamparambal CMI, our principal, Ms. Gayatri Khanna, our resource person for the day, dear staff secretaries, principals, coordinators, and teachers. Good evening, on and all. A warm welcome is never complete without warm words. I am pleased to welcome all of you to the webinar on the topic English Language Teaching, Innovating Pedagogy and Assessment, organized by the Department of English, CNPSM, in association with the Oxford University Press. First and foremost, I would like to welcome our beloved principal, Reverend Father Joshi Mayamparambal CMI. Respected fathers, passion towards our institution to excellence help us unite, strive for betterment, and achieve our goals. Hearty welcome, Father. It's my pleasure to welcome Ms. Gayatri Khanna, ELT resource person from Oxford University Press. Respected Gayatri ma'am has 18 years of experience in teaching. She has worked as a professor of English and also journalism. At the school level, she had worked at the head of English department and academic coordinator for schools affiliated to CBSE, as well as the schools affiliated to the Cambridge International Examinations. Presently, she is a consultant and a resource person in CBSE. She had developed materials for classes 9 and 10 main course books, literature reader, and workbooks. She conducts teacher training for NCERT, SCERT, DAET, and Oxford University Press. Let me extend a cordial welcome to Ms. Gayatri Khanna to this occasion. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Let me welcome Ms. Suchitra, the moderator for today's session, to this occasion. Welcome, ma'am. I would like to extend a glad welcome to Ms. Suja, ma'am, who helped us to make this webinar a fruitful one by providing one among the leading trainers. Welcome, ma'am. I would like to extend a glad welcome to all the principals, vice principals, teachers, and students from our institutions, and the staff secretaries, Mr. Vijit Kumar and Ms. Shamini, along with all the other faculty members from our school who have joined this occasion, thereby making it a grand one. Hearty welcome all. I hope that all of you will enjoy this session and it will help you gather more information regarding the topics. Wish you all a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwini ma'am.
Thank you.
I know that all of you are eagerly waiting to listen to our resource person, Ms. Gayatri Khanna, an ELT trainer. If you have any queries, you can type it in the Q&A box and use the raise hand option to talk directly to Gayatri ma'am during the Q&A session. Let me invite Ms. Gayatri Khanna ma'am to address you all. Ma'am, please.
Sure. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. But, when I was looking through the tape that the audio tape that you people were playing and the audio visual that you were playing before I started, I think looking at that, I feel half my work is already done. Because I could see experiential learning, I could see holistic learning, I could see integration of art. There's so many things. I was so delighted to see that. I thought for me, this is going to be like a cakewalk. I'll just rush through the initial changes because you seem to have incorporated so much of that already. So there's little for me to do. And I think just a suggestion, you must share all this in the innovative practices. In the CBSE website, there's something called innovative practices by schools. I think you must share it for the other schools also to look at this and understand how you people are doing things. And I think that was a very nice audio visual that you had shared. Okay, coming to the not wanting to spend so much of time talking. So I'm just going to come directly to first, let's talk in terms of the changes. See, today you can see the screen, I hope. Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So now what I'll do is that I'm going to talk of the changes only, the academic changes, what you have to do in class, because I'm sure Suja ma'am has told me you people have heard a lot about NEP, but let me tell you that before the NCF comes, they are not radical changes. There's nothing that the CBSE or the NCRT has not given you before. I mean, all these changes, although the education policy has come after 35 years, but there was a continuous process which kept happening. For example, that there was revised policy in 92, then there were NCF, there was position papers and continuous research which has been shared to you in the form of circulars. Now, what is different about it? Because it has been shared, NEP has consolidated all that. Although 80% of your NEP remains the same, I'm not going to discuss your NEP today, just to tell you that 80% remains the same, but typical academic changes and how you have to go through in class, that's what I'm going to talk about. However, if you feel differently, if you want any clarification, you're more than free to ask any questions anywhere, anytime. Okay, so, but let me tell you, my expertise is only in English. So you don't ask me any specific questions about any other subjects. You can ask me about the NEP, about the upcoming NCF, and about the board exams, and about how education is being emphasized in the next 10 years. So just the basically 8 changes which you're supposed to follow in school, and why are we doing it? Just few lines about it. See, the whole world is changing, the economy is changing. Therefore, in the next 10 years, how we see is that 1.5 billion children across the world, they will be competing for the same workspace. So therefore, what we're expecting is that our students should be at par with other students in the globe. So even if you see the education policy here and the education policy in England, let's say, or Australia for that matter, it's not going to be drastically different. Our learning outcomes will almost be the same. Now, what was what was basically alarming was that although the learning outcomes had been given long time back, it had come out as a booklet of assessment by the NCERT in 2009. Yet the schools were not following it. Then 2017, this booklet was given, yet nobody followed it. Now today, I think the papers have been uploaded for classes 10 and 12, which are going to be pretty tough for most students. So unless we do things right from class, the basic level, we are not going to attain the board exams anymore, because board exams will be based on skill development now. They will not be based on learning, rote learning. That is called Bloom's taxonomy, the higher order thinking skills. But you don't have to worry if after I finish talking, every change I will talk with classroom examples. In case you still feel that you haven't followed, you're more than welcome to ask. The only thing I request is just relax. We're going to go through it together, and any question, you don't worry at all. If you don't understand the NEP and its implications, doesn't mean that you can't understand, means I'm at fault, I can't explain it to you, okay? It's simple. And after looking at your audio visual, it's very simple. Okay, so here we go. The first change is that there is going to, you know that there's an umbrella called Parakh, which is being established in Delhi, which is going to conduct learning outcome assessment for class 3, 5, and 8. For classes 3 and 5, it will be EVS, maths, and the teaching language. If your medium of instruction is English, then English. If your medium of instruction is Malayalam, then it's Malayalam, right? Or whatever your medium of instruction is. One language, the major language, that's the teaching language, and EVS and maths. This is for classes 3 and 5. And if you want to see their objective type papers, and what kind of papers are these, you will find these papers if you Google NCERT plus National Assessment Survey, NCERT, National Assessment Survey, it will take you to the NCERT website where 28 lakh students have been assessed 3 times each. I mean 28 lakh each time, between 27 to 28, let's be precise, each time. And there are 60 questions to be answered in 80 minutes, right? So this is skill training. It's not going to be based on one book. It is just skill training. And if you see that in class 8, only thing is EVS is divided into social studies and science. So 3 and 5 is EVS, maths, and one language. And there, instead of EVS, you have science and social studies. And what is the level that you have to attain? This booklet, I'm showing you circulars so that you don't have any doubt that I'm pressurizing you to do something. It's coming from the board directly. So the circulars have started from 217 and they're up to 220. So this is the booklet that you see on your screen is a booklet of learning outcomes. This is upper elementary and lower elementary. Lower elementary is 1 to 5, upper elementary is 6 to 8. So every teacher of every subject must have this booklet. It's downloadable from Google, right? Learning outcomes, NCERT, you will be able to download. Otherwise, Suja ma'am and me are constantly in touch. We are colleagues. So if you feel that you can't download anything, or if you need something from me, you can forever contact her because we are colleagues and working together very closely. Now, what does this booklet look like? This booklet is basically there are 2 covers. Don't be confused by the cover. One is black and white, one is colored. That's the only difference. One is vertical format, one is horizontal format. Every word is the same. So don't get confused with the booklet. Now, this booklet is divided into class-wise and subject-wise. There are classes and there are subjects. Class 1, maths, English, languages and whatever, and then class 2. So one column, the whole book is divided into 2 columns. On your left, you have suggested pedagogical process. Pedagogy is how you teach. And learning outcomes is what they will achieve. what will the result like be end of the thing. So therefore, you have to follow certain pedagogical processes and the child will achieve. See, whatever I'm just going to list out the changes first. How to do it in class, I'm going to follow it up. So and as of now, you please relax. Don't feel very threatened by it. It's my duty to take you on from stage to stage. You just don't worry. If you are worried, it's going to create hurdles in the way of understanding. So you have to achieve the learning outcomes, and the examination, it will be held state-wise. It will be held state-wise. Probably they're suggesting that it's going to be in the month of November. Why will it be in the month of November? This year you won't have it because this is a very strange year with the pandemic situation. Otherwise, why are we doing it first? That on the PISA examination, which is the international examination, there are students for 73 out of 74 countries, which means the students are not competent enough. They do some rote learning, and we just give them marks. And you have seen, all of you have seen that in 10th standard, there's a lot of moderation. If the child gets 27 marks, somehow, you give some extra grace marks, get the child to get through the exams. So therefore, we have to see at each level. Now, why is it state-wise? Because sometimes the first language will be Malayalam, somewhere it will be English, somewhere it will be. So under the umbrella of PARAK is an acronym for Performance Assessment, Review and Analysis Knowledge for Holistic Development. So under this umbrella, the children will have to appear for exams. Why are they being done in the month of November? In the month of November, when you see this NAS, National Achievement Survey of NCERT, you'll see how badly the children have done. Third is bad, 5 is worse, and 8th is worst. Which means that the more number of years they are spending with us, the worse they are becoming. So unless your outcomes are not streamlined right from baby classes, they will not be able to answer class 10 boards. And we want to make them employable, right? So this is PARAK. So all the books that you take, all the books that you use, they should give you the learning outcomes. It is skill development. It's not about books. It's about skill development. So I'm not going to show you how it's mapped because that's not really for you to find out. The second change, if you look at the second change, it is art integration, which your audio-visual had beautifully shown it. Now, art integration doesn't mean only drawing and painting. As you know, I saw on your videos. Art integration is, one is drawing and painting, one is performing arts. I think I saw mine somewhere in your audio visual. The third is making something. We call it three-dimensional art, that making something from zero cost material, etc. So now all this has to be linked to the theme, okay? So if, for example, if my first unit is relationships, then my art integration can be make a photo frame for your family. If my, if it is science and technology, these themes have also been given by the NCERT. So if it is science and technology, then it can be something on cognitive development. So if it is something about growing up, it has to be something about school days. It can be preparing a card, welcoming back somebody, or your favorite moment. Anything, it has to be related to school. It can be performing arts also. So the book that you see on the top corner is Art Integration. That's been given by CBSE. Okay, it's downloadable. And the yellowish color one, the off-white, that's a module given, 7 books given by the NCERT. These are not downloadable, but they can be bought out, right? So this is just to tell you that what are we expecting out of art, but broadly I've told you it's visual arts, it's performing arts, it's creating arts, three-dimensional arts as they call it. Even a baby doing, now how much of art integration? The circular says 2 periods in a week for art. Now, 2 periods in a week means the English teacher will get 20 to 30 minutes, science teacher will get 20 to 30 minutes, maths teacher will get 20 to 30 minutes. So basically, we are dividing it. Art has to be integrated with every subject. It also forms a part of the experiential learning, right? So that is art. It can be a small little thing creating, like, look, chart paper, ice cream sticks. You've created a band for. These are all linked. We'll talk of that a little later when we're talking of classroom experiences. I'm just talking about the changes that all the teachers have to note. And it's not only for English, it's across subjects. Okay, life skills. I think the kind of a school that you have, life skills come automatically, because that's something which I have always believed of missionary schools, being a student myself. And even when they talk in terms of holistic development also happens with us naturally. Now, we people, even I grew up in a missionary school, so we had SUPW, socially useful and productive work. And I think nobody else can teach better than these mission schools. So life skills are how to deal with people. And there are different kinds of and for babies of class 1 to 5, we also have safety issues, cyberbullying. We have how to create a circle of safety, and how to deal in various life situations. These also have to be knit according to your themes, right? So what I have done over here is that it's not only given by CBSE, all this has been put in the NEP revised edition, the revised draft. Page numbers also I have given. I'll be sharing the presentation with Suja, so you please do not, you don't go berserk writing. We just listen, we understand. I will share this presentation, right? So that we don't falter. There's no communication barrier. Now, life skills can be like keeping your environment clean. It can be bullying. It can be rights and duties. All this has to be knit in your books, or even if it's not in the books that you're using, you create your own worksheets. So the parameters or the kind of life skills has also been given to you by the CBSE and NCERT. Staying safe in kitchen, making small little things, simple recipes, all this is a part of it. Then they're talking in terms of problem solving, critical thinking, and reasoning. This is something because your parak, the assessment that you do, and how do? You put the child into various situations that you say, okay, like, there's a stealing thing over here. Philemon and Bacchus, very famous biblical story. That how can you be helpful? The story teaches us something. Critically, they're reading the story, but they're also implying that story onto their lives. Then what does honesty mean to you? What are the 3 things how you can be honest in particular situations? These are critical thinkings. You haven't given ready-made material to a child. Problem solving. You put the child into a situation and the child thinks. We also call it lateral thinking, out of the box thinking. You told them that honesty is a virtue. But here is a situation, for example, that, this girl, she finds something and her thing is stolen. How will you deal with it? Shoplifting. Small little situation. How should you deal with it? If you're caught in an unfamiliar situation, what will you do? So basically, whether you analyze. Then we talk in terms of project-based learning. If you see that they have also talked in terms of marking scheme has been given to you for class 10, which also talks in terms of portfolios, project-based learning, etc. Now, projects have to be across curriculum. They're talking of across curriculum projects, and especially classes 1 to 5, the barriers between subjects should not be very pronounced. We'll talk about it in a bit. For example, class 3, a pet animal. So basically, what social studies, how we integrate that, where will the child stay? What is the natural habitat? So how will you keep the child safe? And then for maths, you can have food, you can have how the quantity of food, how much do you spend on it? What is the dimension of the house or the cage where you've kept it? And English can be any, English is the easiest to integrate. You can talk to your friend about it. You can talk about your pet. You can talk to your writer, email, whatever. Arts and crafts is designing. So basically, we have various ways of integrating projects as they grow older, the projects become slightly, but these projects should not be viable ones. Normally what we have seen is that teachers give them projects and they go and buy them. They go and buy them out directly from the market. So we should give any project which is viable one. And now this was say CBSE, on the CBSE website, you have a press information which is given by the ministry. Now it's called the Ministry of Education, that it is experiential learning, which I already saw in your audio visual, where the children learn by doing. So every day we cannot make the children do, but we can put the children in situations through a book. That if you are in this situation, how do you react? You caught up here, you find an animal that is deserted. How will you do? Every day, it's not possible to take the child out and get the child to observe, because there's a certain amount of curriculum which has to be finished. So therefore, you have to make sure for experiential learning that the child is put into certain situations where the child discusses, finds out its own methods of solving a particular situation. Ethical and moral reasoning is something that I think to schools like yours, I don't even have to talk about. So it is basically, we are talking of 21 values now. They are global values, as we called: kindness, compassion, empathy, honesty. And the last three values mentioned are our constitutional values of fraternity, equality, and justice. They are our constitutional values. So therefore, you have various stories which will come out with various values of kind. Then they're talking in terms of inspiring lessons from various people in India and abroad. So it can be, they talk of Albert Einstein, you can have Louis Pasteur, you can have everyday stories, everyday heroes, people who go up the Mount, say Mount Everest, people who climb, or say very typically Grace Darling, the girl who's from the lighthouse saved somebody. You have Shibi Rana's sacrifice. You have those Philemon I just mentioned. That's why I'll mention again Philemon and Bacchus, where they sort of they give all that they have to their guests. And why I don't wear earrings? It's Malala, how she stole once. So you have basically what is very different in classes 1 to 5 or 0 to 5 and class 6, 7, 8. In classes 1 to 5, you have a multidisciplinary approach, as you say. Last NCF talked about it, NEP talked about it. Therefore, your books should break barriers. There should not be barriers between everything. From English, you can teach social studies. You can teach maths. Although maths is the most difficult subject to integrate, and maths is a special subject also. But EVS, science, everything. And how do you integrate it? So basically, you can have a timeline. Class 1, you can have a shopping list, counting animals, shape. By the time the child is in class, let's say class 5, they have fractions. It's like we've linked it to Swami and that Arkanara entails. So basically, science. When we talk of science, how are we planning to integrate it? For example, a simple poem on a plant. The plant, it grows. It's like a rhyme, class 2. Then the phases. How does a plant grow? The butterfly coming out from a aquatic life, food chain. So basically, you should not compromise on your literature, but you have to transcend boundaries. Okay, you cannot talk of one thing. By the time they come to class 5, we put up a nanotechnology, make a small robot. What are the functions that you expect your robot to perform? EVS, very typical things like EVS is the easiest to integrate in class 1 to 5. So for example, family, neighborhood, everyday helpers, food, then farm animals, aquatic animals. And so similarly, I'm not going to show you all this because I don't want to spend time showing you pages. Social studies, pyramids, King Tutankhamun, everything has to come out of English. We are breaking barriers, okay? In class 1 and class 2, you are supposed to teach one language, one maths. Basically, class 1 and 2. In class 3, 4, 5, you have EVS, maths, and languages. I mean, more than one language, of course. That's what they're talking about. So basically, by not picking up too many books, you have to teach them all that, right? I'm not saying that, see, this is not an advertisement for buying books because we are not allowed to propagate books. But even if you want to, in any book that you're using, make your own worksheets. Okay, then CBSE talks in terms of transcoding and recoding information. Transcoding information and recoding information. That is from one form into the other. For example, a poem into a storyboard, a play into a small little, these are the figures that you see over there. These are called graphic organizers. And you please must know that CBSE has not pushed this suddenly today. They have been talking of this for the last 8 or 10 years, but the schools were not taking note of it. So therefore, NEP has put everything together that from here we will take off. Then they're talking in terms of writing because English is basically a second language or a foreign language in some cases, guided visual and verbal prompts. Even in class 10, we are talking of visual or verbal. If you see the case study, you've got your sample papers today, they are already loaded up. You can see that whether it's graphics, whether it is pie charts, whether everything, visual and verbal prompts have been given because we can't just desert the child and say that you go do things on your own. That's not the way to teach. So we are guided writing step by step. Then we are talking of interactive games, board games. I'll talk to you about this when I start. I'm just listing changes. There are board games, there are, say, tic-tac-toe, various games that you have to do in class. Communication, ASL, speaking, putting the child in a situation, problem solving, critical thinking, I've already talked about it. Now what it says is that although you're doing all these activities, but language should not compromise on the quality of modern content or classic content. All these activities can be knit into whatever you are doing. If I give you, okay, do these activities, and your book is dragging the teacher or the student somewhere, then we are wasting time. And do you know something, that when they say reduce content, they are saying that instead of 10 stories, the child can do 7 stories. Instead of 6 poems, the child can do 4 poems. Or instead of 7, the child can do 4. In 100 pages, just 100, we have produced and seen 104 pages only for class 1. You have all these activities. So when we, just to tell you, when we say reduce content, we are not saying that reduce skills. We are saying add skills, but reduce the number of units, reduce the chapters. Because when you have too many chapters, as I said, that we have even combined book and workbook into one, only 104 pages, okay? Just to tell you that reduction of content does not mean that you will sacrifice on their learning. It means it will be more skill trained. And if there are 104 pages, only let's say 150 pages for class 5, that means even if your child is doing 1 page in a day, there alternates to homework. Please make sure that 1 page is done in class. We have 220 teaching days according to CBSE for classes 9, 10. So even in class 1 to 5, even if you have 150 teaching days, because you have your annual day, you have sports day, and you have rehearsals and everything, please make sure that there's certain amount of skill training has to happen in the class. That's why your content is reduced, but your skill training has become more intense. Your book must have different, like diary, all these genres, whether it is graphic text or whatever, it must have all that. So, well, I'm just coming. Now when online teaching started, CBSE started talking in terms of open book assessment for babies also, because otherwise babies were just copying or the parents were doing something and handing it over. So now, what sample papers have been put into your books, which Suja ma'am will share with you. So you can prepare your own material also like this. So now coming to classes 6 to 8. Now I have done 0 to 5 now with you. I'm talking of the changes in classes 6 to 8. First is learning outcomes, which are the so here. Then we have experiential learning. Again, is the same. You're putting the children into various situations. That is the same. Life skills is just the same. Only type of life skills are different. Now here, because the children have to, what is different now? So here, that there we say that reduce the number of units, because instead of say 10 stories in class 1, you do only 6 stories in class 1. Instead of 5 or 6 poems, you do only 4 poems in class 1, but do them, skill train them. Your content must not be so heavy because you are training them in skills. It's not just right to do too many pages after pages, because that way we are hurried through them. Here what is happening is 18 themes. These 18 themes have been given by not only NCERT, but they're the same themes in England. They're the same themes. These are called global themes. If you see the curriculum of say England or any other country, for example, relationships, for example, growing up, for example, animals, for example, health and fitness, these 18 themes CBSE had also given to you in its MCB before you came to this language and literature course. Of course, your class 10 and 9 books will change, but not in the near future, in a couple of years, okay? So it's going to be the communicative pattern one more time. So here is PISA exams. Now we are talking of PISA exams in case you do not know what PISA exams are like, which, I mean, we will go for PISA exams in 2021 again. Every 3 years they are here. So therefore, your press release on the website says that your class 10 exams should have PISA type questions. The what you call it, sample papers loaded today will show you they are the PISA type questions. Now, what are PISA type questions? If you want sample papers, I will send them to Suja ma'am. You can tell her and she will pass them on, because I don't have anybody's mail ID. And so we have colleagues, we are very closely connected to our colleagues. So within 24 hours or whatever you want, you will get. Now, what are PISA type exams? We begin the training right in class 6. If you think that somebody is going to wave a magic wand in class 9 and 10, that's not fair. I know that training junior kids is much tougher than training senior kids, because your base is built over there. So if you see in any country abroad, the junior school teachers, that's the primary school teachers, are paid as much as the Western world, they're paid as much as the university teachers, because that's the toughest job in the world. And believe me, after having taught at the post-graduation level for 14 years, I'm still terrified of going into the baby classroom, because they can really tax your energy also. And they require patience and they require skill of handling, which you people know. So here, class, when we talk of PISA exam, we are talking of vocabulary, how it fits in. It is when we talk of comprehension, it's not reading and picking up something and putting it in the answer. No, that's not going to happen. Your class 10 papers which are put up will tell you. So for example, this of course we put in our workbooks, but when we share this presentation, you will get to know they have to infer meaning, they have to deduce meaning, they have to read between the lines to find out the right answer. And please never be under the misconception that MCQs are easy. MCQs are the most difficult to answer. So therefore, the children will have to know precise answer before they tick the right MCQ. So PISA assessment you have to train for. Another very important thing which they are talking in terms of portfolio activity is self-assessment and peer assessment. And do you know they have given you the lesson plan, how your lesson plans have to be submitted. The 32-page document, it has been loaded up on the CBSE website. So you have to either I'll send it or you download it from the CBSE website. It talks in terms of portfolio. It talks in terms of self-assessment, peer assessment. Then you tell the children that you assess yourself. So you don't have to say that you assess, then they'll give their friends the best mark. It's not a popularity contest that we are looking at. So the star child will get maximum votes. So peer assessment, we have to give them specific rubrics or marking scheme. Something very interesting I want to share with you, which you could also follow. Like, I come from a school which is the name of the school is Sacred Heart Convent School in Ludhiana. Okay, so my sister, my principal, Sister Chantal, she did a beautiful thing. I mean, much before self-assessment and peer assessment came, what she did was she told the parents that you can give 10 marks to your child the way you assess. She says for first year, it was 10 on 10. All the parents gave 10 on 10 to the children. She said that I told that, she says the teachers are very upset. Why did they give? But the sisters and fathers are very kind. So she said, let them give. We'll just find out. So then when they started coming after giving 10 on 10, sister asked them, then do you think, did your child do this? Did your child do this? Did your child, on what basis have you given the marks? She says, I keep going to my school, So she says to me, because my school keeps me grounded. So she said that after a couple of years, for every mark, the children had to battle with their parents. Did you polish your shoes? Did you wash your clothes? Did you help daddy wash the car? Did you help daddy do this gardening bit? She says, now for those 10 marks, children struggle with their parents. And what are you doing? Holistic development. I really like this idea. So I'm sharing it with you. You have to give them rubrics, marking scheme, that you have to do this. Like, did I communicate well? Did my letter fit into a format? Could I finish my work on time? Could I explain my emotion? You have to tell them. So unless they have guidelines, they will never be able to mark themselves. However, we have put it in our books, we have put them, but it's not necessary. You can create your own learning and peer assessment and tell the children. Problem solving, critical thinking, I've already talked about. I'm not going to talk about it again. Ethical and moral reasoning, again, I'm not going to talk about. Of course, it will differ in different classes. It can be cyberbullying or some teenage problems at the older level, and inspiring lessons also I'm not going to talk about. It can be, you don't have to be inspired by very lofty heroes. You can be inspired by your gardener who works day in, day out for you. You can be inspired by a watchman. We call them real life heroes or everyday heroes. Our heroes don't have to be film stars. Our heroes have to be people with substance. Your teacher can be your hero. You're anybody who's your role model. We have to change role models actually. Like Mary Com, we've talked, painters of these artists who paint, cottage industry. They can be, your potter can be your hero who molds the clay and teaches you so much. So basically inspiring, recoding and transcoding I have talked about, teaching through puzzles, activities and games. This is something which the NEP talks constantly about. Verbal and visual input, I've already talked. And we have to talk of encouraging vocational training. Now, when we talk of encouraging vocational training, let me tell you, for all the years that I was in America, as a university teacher, you get some X amount of salary. The cab driver also takes home the same, because you respect people who do any job. You don't have to be a very qualified blue-collared person to be respected. You have to be anybody who does their job well. And we call it, and first we have to, after coming to India, what I realized was, here sadly, we grade people according to the job. If it's a watchman, he's less respected than a principal. Or if it's a doctor, he's more respected than a teacher. We shouldn't have these kind of things. Anywhere, human resource has to be respected, and we have to teach them that how each is important. Everyday helpers, right from class 1, a person who cleans, what would happen if he didn't clean? So basically, once we have that respectability, now they're talking of 10 bagless days. As I was saying, when I was a baby, we had SUPW, socially useful and productive work, where sometimes we were taken to for that leadership camps. We used to go to slums, help teach the children or teach them some craft or needlecraft. So here, so we had 3 periods in a week when I was in school. I'm talking of long back. I'm talking of 80s. So now we are talking of 10 days. 10 days would mean, say, 8 periods in a day, 80 periods. 3 periods, we had 90 periods. So it's nothing new. We have to teach them this, any work which is socially useful and productive. And we're talking of holistic development. You can call a local potter to come to your school and teach them something, some electrical gadgets, and your children were doing a lot of art and craft. So I'm not going to talk about it. So when we talk of reduced curriculum, this is the last slide over here. So this is a reduced curriculum. When we talk in terms of reduced curriculum, when 18 themes, as I said, that have to be done in class 6 to 8. So 6 and 8, you reduce the length of the chapter. You reduce the level of the vocabulary a bit, so that the teacher is in a position to do all these activities. Otherwise, skill training won't happen. And that Parakh exams that we are talking from next November, that's going to be difficult for your children to cross. So these are the changes. Now I'm going to talk about classroom experience, how a pedagogy has to be more innovative in order to how our pedagogy has to be more innovative, new types of pedagogy in order to, you can see some exemplars, you can see the screen. Is it okay? Is it visible? Is it visible? Okay. Okay. So okay, let's see this. Just one page. When I said that your learning outcome booklets, it is divided into 2 columns. Okay, by the way, I just want to ask you, are you people are comfortable? Because I wasn't looking at the chat box. I hope there aren't any questions in the chat box. Are you comfortable with me at the pace I'm talking? Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So in case there are any questions, you're more than welcome to stop me also, because, here I can't see so many faces and I'll just keep going on at my speed. So wherever you want, please feel free, welcome to stop me. Even if you tell me that, okay, you're talking some nonsense, it's all right. I'll try to explain again. Okay. So just feel free and comfortable. Okay. So here is the suggested pedagogical process. Just 2 words you understand. What is pedagogy? What is pedagogy? Pedagogy is how you teach. Curriculum is what you teach. And assessment is not only for the child. Assessment is, see, when now continuous assessment has to happen. For example, and it is happening, when CC, so there was so much of documentation that the teachers, they discarded it outright. But let me tell you, all of us as teachers, we are doing continuous comprehensive assessment. And my teachers did it with me 100 years back. Also, Gurukuls did that. Now, what do I mean by that? When I talk in terms of learning outcomes, assessment has to be carried on continuously. For example, if you say, I come to your class and I ask you, how is this child, I name one child, I'll say, how is this child going to perform? You don't tell me, wait a minute, I'll give a test and then I'll tell you how this child is going to perform. At once you tell me, this child, I expect him to score about 60 to 70% marks, or this child will cross 90%. How do you know that? Because you see the attentiveness of a child, how the child responds to you, how regular the child is in giving the notebooks to you, how responsive is the child to you in class, how attentive is you have various parameters. What is this? This is called continuous assessment. You're using various methods, but you're not documenting it, okay? When I tell you what kind of a boy is he or what kind of a girl is he, you tell me he's a very helpful child. He helps all the people around him. He's very good with sports, but sometimes he becomes very careless when he walks out of class. So his things are lying littered around. What are you doing? You are making an assessment of the personality type of the child. He's good with music. You're looking at the holistic development of a child. That's comprehensive development. You say, okay, this child is a very good orator, but when it comes to writing, the child doesn't do as well. What are you doing? Because you are making a holistic assessment of a child. This is comprehensive. And what is the difference in evaluation and assessment? You basically assess a child for learning. I've done one chapter and I'm making my own assessment. Can the child answer questions? Can the child respond to me? Does the child take interest in what I have done? So basically you have your own parameters. It can be discussion, participating, ability to communicate. These are your own learning outcomes that you're looking at. So basically, just to tell you why these learning outcomes have been given to you, these learning outcomes have been given to you so that the whole country for Parakh and learning outcomes achieves a basic learning level. Okay. So as I said, curriculum is the course, pedagogy is how you teach them. Now, when I was talking in terms of problem solving, for example, end of class 1, you have, I can already see it's 4 o'clock, so I'll expedite myself a bit so that I can take up all your questions also. So let's say this is a baby of class 1. For a baby of class 1, even this is problem solving. So, but the only thing is that we should have our rubrics or marking scheme clear. Here, what do we want them to do? End of class 1, name each animal, help the animal find its tail. So either they will match the color or they will recall. They have done these animal stories, presuming. See, I have scanned pages from my book. That does not mean that this is the only right book in the market, okay? There are millions of right books in the market, but because I have an access to my PDF, so that is the reason why I have picked up examples from my book. So even if you show me your books and you tell me how to go about it, I will do that also for you, okay? So that doesn't mean that there's only one right book in the whole world. Just to tell you, now when you should know exactly what you're doing and why you are doing. Please look at this. Every teacher should have an assessment sheet like this. So everything that we do will have assessments. In the vertical column, first, names of the children in your class. A, B, C, D are the babies in the class. You know the names. And the horizontal is rubrics. What are we looking? Then I show you this worksheet, my rubrics. Over here, instead of listening comprehension, it will be ability to recognize the animal. Second will be ability to name the animal. Third can be spelling. Fourth can be finding the tail. Fifth can be ability to complete the work on time. You know, whatever you do, you have to create your rubrics. But please do not bifurcate it into so many columns that it becomes stressful for you and it becomes stressful for the child. I would say even up to class, say 7 or 8, do not have more than 4 learning outcomes. 3 to 4 learning outcomes. If your children are very bright, give them 5, and we have to share the learning outcomes with the children from class 5 onwards. Babies will think that this is a game. But as a teacher, you know that this is not a game. You're doing something far more important because I've given you the rubrics, which is saying that. When I was talking in terms of art integration, so when I say that 20 to 30 minutes per subject per week, so that doesn't mean that you're going to give huge loads of stressed out drawing or painting. For example, in class 1, you can have name the missing parts of these animals' bodies, then draw the missing part and color it. And see, they're writing also, the elephant is missing its trunk, right? They have to make a trunk in color. The rabbit is missing its ears. Octopus is missing its arms. And please be very simple, not tentacles, it's arms because they're little babies. The giraffe is missing its neck. So when you talk, like even when we're talking of speaking exercise, we believe that the child is not going to talk in sentences in English right from the beginning, because even the child will talk in monosyllabic words, because whether you want to believe it, whether you like to believe it, English is still a foreign language in India. That's been my observation over the last 10 years that I have been here and meeting schools, because only an English teacher talks in English in the class. I remember in my school, we were fined for talking in any other language. So here what happens is the PT teacher, music teacher, sometimes the math and science teachers also take help of mother tongue to communicate. So therefore, the child's exposure to English is what the English teacher is doing. Therefore, when the child in class 1 talks of monosyllabic words, small little one word or broken sentences and phrases, please accept it. It's all right. They overnight, they cannot become Shakespeare's for you. I know the stress on the English teacher is huge, because the moment I saw your school, by the way, in that audio visual, the moment the parents they send the child to a school which looks so grand like this, they will feel that 1 year they'll send the child, the second year the Shakespeare will come out. It doesn't happen like that. They have language learning. English is an aspirational language. People aspire to learn that, but we have to go slow. We don't have to push it down. It's not a method. We have to train them in their skills. My friend has a long neck. Who is she or who is he? So they'll say giraffe, and my friend is the biggest bird. It's an ostrich. So basically, we are showing them the pictures, and we are verbal and visual input, what I was talking about. Now, when we talk of art, look at this, please. That you go out in the garden, trace a leaf and cover it. Now, you see, when we are saying a leaf that has fallen on the grass or fallen on the floor, we are skill training, value system. They're not plucking leaves out and doing it. It's inbuilt. You don't have to say that we are teaching you values. As a teacher, your lesson plan should say that values that you have taught. Your shapes and sizes will go to EVS. The trees, plants, shrubs will go to EVS. When you see the lesson plan in the 32-page document, which has been uploaded by CBSE, you have to make these cross-curricular links also. That what else, what is the other subject that you involved with it? So basically, please go slow, please think. I think most publisher will give you teacher's lesson plan and whatever. So you can take the help of those lesson plans which are given to you. So here, when we talk in terms of class 1 writing, when they fill in a word, even that's called, look at the writing exercise in end of class 1. The sea animals have a party, they sing and dance. So basically, we are not expecting very lofty parameters that they have to achieve. We are just talking of attainable outcomes. And then we have to talk in terms of a lot of visual and verbal input. Of course, the books give it. In case the books, whatever books, I don't even know what books you're using, your books don't have, you should have a lot of worksheets which are doing it. Now, when online teaching has come of age, of course, first of all, let me tell you, online teaching is barely happening. Schools are very happy with what they're doing. But first, access to technology is very limited in India. Do you know the UNESCO study said that only 8% children have? We have just created that divide. So what we would expect is that sheets like this, which can be used in class, we are talking of portfolio activities. You can even WhatsApp these sheets to the babies and let them do something and give them. How can these sheets be used? These sheets, for example, this sheet which I'm showing you can be used for a baby of class 1, and it can also be used for a baby of class 6, for a baby of class 5. How are we going to use it? See, how are we going to use it? First, you can put them in random order, okay? Put these pictures, cut them up, put them in. Oxford lets you download the worksheets and put them in random order. And then you can tell them that I'm going to tell you what you see, and you have to put 1, 2, 3 listening exercise, okay? The ability to listen. Your rubrics has to be correct. For example, if I put them in the random order, I will keep talking to them about the worksheet. For example, I'll say, I can see a girl. She's lying down. She's on the bed. Her hand is on her eyes. She rubs her eyes. Please use present tense. We don't have to muddle up tenses with the babies because they're very young. So she rubs her eyes. I think it's time to wake up. Her head's on the pillow. So, you keep talking till they pick up the right picture. It's a foreign language. And please let me tell you that I was a dyslexic. I couldn't read, I couldn't write. My sisters worked on me. And today I do nothing other than reading and writing. So you can just transform a child. It's just how caring you are. So basically, sometimes it's just lack of motivation. It's the or lack of confidence. You just go slow and they will build up. Then the second is you can use it as a speaking exercise. What do you see in picture one? Who do you see in picture one? They'll say a girl. What does she do? She's on the bed. Where is her hand? They will give you one word answer. It's all right. Then as they grow up, you can talk in terms of grammar. These are all doing verbs, as you said, doing words. She rubs her eyes, jumps out of bed, stretches herself, goes to the washroom, washes her eyes, brushes her teeth, wears her school uniform, picks her bag. She thinks she takes her school uniform off. She jumps right into bed because it's a holiday. So it's tense, it's verbs for the babies. You can give them fill in the blanks, give them cue words, let them fill up. You can have this for class 4. You can say, this girl, her name is Little Jane. So she tells her mother what happened this morning. You can start it for them. This morning, when I woke up, I thought I was late for school. So there you can tell them writing exercise. They can narrate this to you. It can be speaking. So it is how you are going to use this is what you are going to decide how you want to use it. So similarly here, that was verbs. This is prepositions. Dad's lost his shoes. He looks under the bed, behind the curtain. He looks here and there. And his baby girl has put them in here it's also healthy habits. Here, she's put them in the washing machine and she puts them out. Life skills. Shoes are not meant to be washed. They're supposed to be polished. So here it's prepositions. So it is how you use. Now these are called these are called graphic texts. In our time, these were called comics because it was non-serious reading and nuns used to always confiscate them and we were not allowed to read them. But now these are called graphic texts, very serious writing, and they're on serious issues as well. I think the chat box, let me see. Okay, I can, how to recite a poem. I'll come to that. And will there be any change in the textbooks for class 9 to 12? Yes, there will be change, but not in the near future. You can expect the board exams to change in 25 and 26. So 25, 26, that's what your NEP has said. Now, after this, after NEP finalization, you will get an NCF. On the basis of NCF, books will be prepared. So, but in English, please do not expect something drastically different. All this has been given and all this, it's not incorporated in the NCERT books because they were made in 2005 and 6. So here, it's been incorporated in most books. I'll give you time to ask questions and how to recite a poem. I'll come to that. Do you think, shall I hurry through this and come to your specific questions, or do you want me to go on this pace and tell you everything? Can you please, one person release the mic and tell me what, shall I?
Yes, continue, ma'am.
Shall I continue in this fashion?
Yes, ma'am, we can continue in this fashion itself.
Okay, then after that, very quickly, I'll tell you how to do a story and a poem.
Okay. In the last 15 minutes, we can answer the queries, ma'am. Last 15 minutes.
Okay, thanks. And so here, when we're talking of very serious stuff, these are called graphic organizers. Now you have Shakespeare, you have Marlowe, you have all these in graphic organizers, right? So here you tell the children that now what does it teach you? Learning outcomes. None of the empty spaces should have more than 7 to 8 words. Earlier we had Pressy writing. They are learning to condense. They should be grammatically accurate. It is direct speech. It is creativity. So here the children, they have gone for camping. They don't find place in the whatever farmhouse. They pitch the tents outside, making the food. Then they hear the owl hooting, and then there's something that they see. So for a class 5 baby, this will be complete assessment. But when they come to class 6, because you have story writing in class 9, so you have brought the story to a climax. So you say, in another 80 words, complete the story. What happens after that? So these are complete learning assessments. So when you look at your learning, and please tell the other subject teachers also that learning outcome booklets has to be shared across the school, across all subjects. So you'll kindly share that point with them as well. So now, sorry. So here, even this is like worksheets like this, where you compare the two things. I want to be this is called a turncoat exercise. CBSE says by the time they're in class 10, the same child should be able to talk 30 seconds for and 30 seconds against, like a debate, two people talk, one for, one against. Here the same child is talking for and against. I'd rather be a television than a computer, because people would love me. People would like to sit around me, because a baby won't talk of technology. A baby will just talk of how they enjoy TV. I'd rather be I want to be the sentence framing can be simpler also. I want to be a computer, because then children would like to talk to each other through me, or they would like to play games on me. So basically, turncoat, the same child talks for and against. Your rubrics should be right. Your rubrics is your marking scheme, should be right. Ability to identify, ability to frame a sentence, ability to talk clearly, or ability to write if this is a writing exercise or whatever. Ability to finish the work on time is also a learning outcome. So your learning outcomes have to be very clearly defined. When we talk of in terms of vocation, in class 6, for example, we have talked of various professions, respecting various professions. What daddy wanted to be when he grew up. Daddy wanted to be a engine driver. Daddy wanted to be a say what, ice cream seller. I've forgotten the story exactly, but daddy wants to be many things. So here, respectability, the same turncoat with different professions. Each profession, I'd rather be a chef and cook delicious meals. I'd rather be a firefighter and save people's life in danger. I'd rather be a soldier and save our country from our enemies. I'd be a photographer, making people happy through various photographies and art. Farmer, hairstylist, everybody has that. This is for class 6. So basically, I'm not going to do all this because I'd like to do a poem, as you said. So basically, we have to have enough of visuals and enough of words before the children. This is called skill training, right? So even when we are talking of safety issues and everything, board games. Now, your NEP also has given you some board games, but board games is, I mean, say 3 to 4 or 5 board games should be enough in a year, because every day you're not going to make them play. And these are vocabulary games. These are sentence structures. These are homonyms. These are whatever. These games have to be added on. So when we talk of grammar, is discrete and contextualized. So we have discrete grammar and we have contextualized grammar. This is preposition discussing a map. See, when you look at this, you will realize that the same kind of questions are in classes 9 and 10. This is backward disintegration. We have map reading. Now they have also asked in terms of reading pie charts, histograms, graphs, everything. We have an analytical paragraph. We have case study. So unless we begin early, our children in class 9th and 10th standard teachers will just struggle with the syllabus otherwise. So whether it's prepositions, contextualized grammar, association, children learn by association. Which are the 2 pictures that are associated? They can say cat and a mouse are associated because the cats love eating mice. Or they can say anything. What are we doing? We are helping them think. We are skill training them. Lateral thinking. You can say that glasses and sunglasses, goggles, they are related because both are put on the eyes. A dog and a cat, because They can be playing with each other, they don't write each other or whatever, the children will have various things, various reasons for, these are called associations. This is innovative pedagogy, right? Innovative. This is new type of pedagogy, even finding differences and communicating both in words and in words as well as in writing. It's innovative, something that you have been doing in every newspaper has one shuttlecock, two shuttlecocks. So basically, if they're older children, you say you have 5 minutes or 6 minutes, identify 10 and write down those 10 sentences to an older child. Whereas a baby will just speak to you about it. The baby may speak in one shuttlecock, two shuttlecocks. You have to accept, as I said, that this is a foreign language. So here it's the same thing, the same kind of finding pairs and describing faces. I'm not going to do all this with you because we have to do various other things, right? So let's say when we were talking in terms of picture story, I told you about that preposition I talked to. We could begin with only 4 pictures. The girl, she goes out, the crow takes the umbrella away and he puts his little babies there. He puts the thing on the tree and he puts his little babies there. So basically parents love, you're teaching them values, you're teaching them some life skills also. So the children should be able to talk about it and then later write about it. So even if they are recognizing, you can tell them, now put it in correct order. You can put them in random order. That way it becomes a listening exercise. Now look, the naughty mouse, he sees the cat coming, he's eating cheese. He jumps behind the magnifying glass and the cat thinks it's a monster and the cat is scared away. So not meant for babies, although 3 pictures, because children do not know what a magnifying glass is. Only class 3 onwards, the child would know what a magnifying glass is. And even simple worksheets like what is wrong with the picture. Look at the colored picture. That's a brush to sweep the floor. That's not the brush to comb your hair with. So you're teaching life skills. Very simple things. It's every day. We just have to tell them the skill of going about in life every day. Look at it. What's wrong with the picture? The girl has mustaches and it doesn't rain inside and you don't light fire inside. And the nest has to be on the tree and not on the chest of drawers. And the ice cream where it's put, it's going to melt, and there's a fish outside the aquarium. So basically they are thinking. For you it may seem something very, very simple, but for the child has to learn of safety issues. The child has to learn life skills, land animals, water animals. So basically when you start writing, as they grow older, you give them visuals to write. Where will you find them? What are they trying to convey? Do you know, when I came back from States, I went to Gujarat. I learned how to speak and read Gujarati only because of signboards. And I had to deal with the house help. And I used to now today I can talk. I talk and I can read also. I can't write, of course. But these small little, do not cross, use a subway here. It will be on a speeding road where there's speeding traffic, highway. Subway is something which is dug under that. If you people don't have subways, never mind. You have to lead a child from familiar to unfamiliar. You may be having a footbridge, which is over the road. So basically, small little things, but like slow down, children crossing outside a school because the traffic is speeding, the children will run over. So small little things that you have to, then is verbal. As they grow older, these are verbal cues, right? And completing the story. Then you have writing a poem, which is basically contextualized grammar. So you have, like, for example, you have sunlight, moonlight, noun in the first, noun in the last. Then you have 2 adjectives either side. So basically these are, and creativity, ability to complete, ability to identify. I've given you example over there. Now, when I talk in terms, now CBSE says describing processes, events, places, and people. That's the syllabus, right? For classes 9 and 10. So when you begin early, say class 5, your NEP says, and your circular say, give choice to the children. You can say, okay, describe one of them. You don't have to leave the children where they are. You have to say, you have to give them enough verbal input. Otherwise, the children will not be able to do. For example, if I say, okay, a bit of portfolio, I'll talk about it. I'll give you time to ask questions. I just saw that question. Okay, so when you say red plastic chairs or plastic red chairs, red plastic chairs is correct because adjectives have an order. So similarly, descriptions have an order. You cannot talk of the face and then dress and then go to eyes. And no, they have an order. So immediately you will say here, this is the verbal input along with it. Now, first you write of the height, build, age. We have also given adjectives that can be used, and the children are putting them in together. So we are basically hand holding them to teach them a skill. Our endeavor is to know what a child knows, not what a child does not know. So this is exactly what we are doing. So when we talk describing characters, describing lips, first you disintegrate everything, and then you put it together by the time they are in class 6. Then you start training for the board. That's a separate story. So here you have traits and then describing characters, right? So here I'm not going to talk in terms. Okay, now coming to classes 6, 7, 8, when we were talking in terms of graphic organizers, these kind of organizers have to be used for writing skills. For example, all long writing tasks in the CBSE, with the exception of a news report and a newspaper report and a story, everything has to be written in 4 paragraphs. Okay. So CBSE gives you in the marking scheme also, so I'm not saying something new to you. So these are called web organizers. All long writing tasks in the CBSE, with the exception of a story and a newspaper report, have to be written in 4 paragraphs. And this organizer is called a web organizer. These are graphic organizers. The first paragraph is problems. Second paragraph is cause. Third is effect. Fourth is solution. I've given an example here. If you have to write on pollution, I could only think of pollution because in Delhi, pollution has started again. You are living in God's own country with very little pollution. So perhaps you can't imagine a woes. So pollution, problems. What kind of pollutions do you have? You have air pollution. Now, actually, there are 5 kinds of pollution. I know: water pollution, air pollution, land pollution, noise pollution. Now we talk of light pollution also. But here, CBSE says 2 value points for every paragraph, 2 value points. So we've taken up only 2. So problems, 2 correct. If you think your children can go wrong, then you say 3 value points to them. So problems, air and land pollution. What are the causes of air and land pollution? Vehicles, too much of rush on the roads, industry. What are the effects? Disease and environmental hazards. And what are the causes? Solutions have to be linked to the causes. We said there are too many vehicles on the road. So carpools or public transport, industry away from residential areas, or it has to be governed. So basically, what are the 3 things your writing is assessed on in CBSE? It's content, expression, fluency, and accuracy. Content, accuracy, and fluency. Accuracy is nothing but spelling, grammar, and punctuation. And if this is complete, if your organizers are complete, your content is complete. And what is fluency? Fluency is knitting ideas and language together and formatting it. If it's a letter, it has to look like a letter to the editor, it has to look like a letter to the editor. A speech has to look like a speech. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So basically formatting it, then here the ideas are already knit together. And how will you knit the vocabulary together? You will use linking words. However, therefore, as a result of, consequently, firstly, secondly, so therefore, so you have to knit the vocabulary. You have to knit the vocabulary together so that they're not standing out separately. So look at this. Now you have story writing also. I don't think I should talk of story writing because it's in class 9 and not 10. So I'm sure class 9 is not as, but you know, your board exams are going to become more and more stringent. You must have seen the sample question papers. It's rather tough, but I'm just going to browse through that because 9, 10, 11, 12 should actually be a separate thing, because otherwise 1 to 8 is skill training. 9 and 10 is basically you're assessing skills which have already been trained. So one is training and one is assessment. If your children in class 1 and 8 are not doing what they're supposed to do, you will never get a good result in class 10, hence onwards. So now when you call story writing, it's story triangle. Introduction must have characters, it must have setting, and it must tell you, it must have a problem, which is called a plot as we grow up. Then rising action. The problem starts complicating. Climax is a Latin word, which means top of the ladder. It's reached a climax. You don't know what's going to happen next. Then it starts coming out till the problem resolves. So these are basically for classes 9 and 10. So I'll skip through these so that I can at least complete my class 1 to 8, what I'm trying to do. For class 1 to 8, these are the type of graphic organizers that we are looking at. This is what are we doing? We are basically transcoding information. After a poem, we are saying, where does the poem take place? Who are the characters? What is the event 1? What is event 2? What is event 3? So we are changing the genres. Basically, this is a higher order thinking skill, from a poem to a story, from a story to a storyboard. So basically, these are called life skills, as I said, have been given to you by the CBSE and have to be integrated, and they have to be related to your theme, and even your art corners have to be related. For example, as I said, the first chapter is on relationships. So making a photo frame, zero cost material, ice cream sticks and some waste material, button or whatever. Please do not make them spend money, because once they spend money, the parents are going to be unhappy. And CBSE also doesn't want to see all this, what they have done. So you people were talking in your audio visual zero cost material, which is a brilliant thing to do. Eggs or whatever they were painting over there, that continue with that. That's audio visual. See, now this class 8, for example, after the mystery unit, as I said, in 6 to 8, you have to have those 18 themes that you have to cover. Mystery is one such theme. So mystery can be aliens, it can be murder or crime, or it can be supernatural. So here, after that, you plan a supernatural theme party, and how will you decorate it? So one group can plan a class, how it will be decorated. They can be Halloween, those pumpkins hanging from somewhere. They can be webs somewhere. They don't have to decorate it, because zero cost. We are not spending money on it. So they can say that we can put a skeleton bone somewhere. On the paper, they have to design the layout, where they will hang what. The second group will do a menu card, and the menu should also be gruesome. For example, thick bloody soup, or creepy crawly noodles. They have to think, they have to be creative, they have to use the language. And the third has to design the invitation card, like what I've given you one example, come if you dare. So they have to write those slogans and everything and design cards. So basically, we are knitting art into every theme. Then, of course, starters, I'm not going to talk about this. So we were talking in terms of poetry. I'll do poetry, but just to tell you that basically when we have poetry also, poetic devices have to be a little more intense and a little more deeper study of poetic devices. When we are talking of imagery, class 6, we'll just say pick up the lines which match these pictures. So what are you doing? You're basically creating visual and oral imagery. But to the babies, if you say we are creating images, poor little babies, they'll be unhappy and they'll be threatened by what you're doing. So we are going to take them step by step. Okay, I've already done this. See, now CBSE says by the time they reach class 8, they should be able to create a graphic organizer. So how will they be able to create? This is an exercise that we have put in class 7. We've given say summary 200 words, the summary of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, very famous book by Stevenson, a novel. So here they will read the summary and they will write dialogues over here in first person. You're changing the genre, you're helping them create a graphic text. Even your handouts now online, even if your handouts, let's say to class 6, which are the phrases that you will use for formal letter, which are the ones you'll use for informal letters. You can't just throw a letter on them. You have to first get them. I'm sorry to inform you that. I'm sorry, first person, it's informal. Phrasal verbs are informal. Why don't we? Contractions, informal. So basically, what you have to do is that give them handouts which lead them to something like that. Now, I have already talked of this. Art corner can be simple. Let's say sports, designing a jersey after the sports unit, the front of the jersey, the back of the jersey. After the unit on humor, they can design, they can do a caricature. Grammar, now very important. Your grammar is your PISA like tests also. It has to be discrete and contextualized. All these pages I have just picked up from my books and I'm flashing them. Again and again, I'm telling you, that doesn't mean that this is the only good book in the market. I use examples from my books because I have PDF. Nobody in the world would give me their PDF because they'll think I'll go and sell it or I'll print it. So I have my book, so I've just taken examples from there. But repeatedly, what I've been saying is that please do not use a very tough book. You sort of intimidate the child by doing that. If the child, let's say, as I said, in classes 1 to 5, I would say use 100 pages only, book and workbook together, not more than 100 pages, because we are skill training. This is going to take time. And in class, let's say class 6, you have say about 160 pages. Your book should contain all this so that you have the, poor teachers are basically working against time, because you, on the one hand, your parents are, sadly, what I have seen in India, teaching is the most difficult profession. Teaching in India, I mean, is the most difficult profession in the world. Why? Because, when you go to a doctor, you don't tell a doctor that I have this disease and you give me this medicine to treat. When you go to a lawyer, you don't say that this is my problem. Under this section, you file my case like this. But to a teacher, everybody wants to add how to teach. And basically, it's a very tightrope balance that you people have to. So all my sympathies are constantly with the teachers in India. In fact, I'm not even saying it here. I have said it in FICCI also on a platform, that teaching in India in a school is the most difficult job in the world. And I think hats off to you for doing it every single day. I've done it only for 3 years in India. I've never been teaching in a school. All my 18 years has been at the university. And I know how much of energy it saps out. I feel that I have endless energy. I don't get tired. I don't feel sleepy. But believe me, in the 3 years when I was teaching children at school, I was the academic head. But that I had to go to different classes. And the younger the classes, the more difficult it is. I used to come home and I used to sleep for 2 hours. And my husband used to constantly be telling me, what the hell do you do in school that you're so tired and sleepy by the time you get home? It's like, your energy is sapped out completely, because, you're keeping in pace with them and you're also channelizing the energy into a positive direction. And it's a heterogeneous crowd. When I was teaching in the postgraduate, I had only 8 children with me. And those 8 children used to fight for my time. Ma'am, I need half an hour of your time. I need 40 minutes of your time. And when they used to ask me for 40 minutes, I used to make sure that they're done in 30 minutes because I have somebody else to talk to and advise. And here you are struggling for their attention and they don't want any. So grammar contextualized as well as this. So I'm not going to spend time. So now all that we did was basically it's Bloom's taxonomy. The question answer, how did you do it? How, what, why, where? These are the lower. Memory is remembering, is memory, understanding and applying. Memory, knowledge, these are lower order thinking skills. Applying the worksheets that we did, I showed you today, they are creating, evaluating, analyzing. So this is what we are going to look at. So now let me talk of a poem, because I think otherwise I'll run out of a time. How to do a poem? I had thought I'll do writing formats and how to do that. But here I'm going to talk of poetry, because you asked me that question specifically. So see, now there are kinds of poetry. When we are looking at babies, when we're looking at baby poetry, uh, when we say it is just going to be, let's say, understanding and rhyming words. Our literary appreciation for a baby will not go beyond rhyming words like cat, mat, bat, these are rhyming words. So when we come to class 3, we can talk in terms of simile, something as and like. And we can talk in terms of, say, uh, rhyme scheme. We don't use the word. We can, even if it's alternate rhyme, we can say which are the words that rhyme, just about that much. Now look at this. By the time we come to class 5, I'll just show you a couple of examples of poetry, how we have to deal with poetry at different levels. That will answer that question also. Um, Dear Mum, this is a poem. This is modern. See, we strike a balance of old classic and modern classic. That is what is required, because we cannot, if we have to talk of Swami Narayan, that what is R.K. Narayan Swami and Sons, we have to talk of that. If we have to talk of Kamla Das, we have to talk of Kamla Das. If we have to talk of Tagore, we have to talk of Tagore. If it's Wordsworth, Shakespeare, we can't leave these old writers and we can't leave modern writers. So it has to be a balance. So look at this now, this class 5 poem, just how we're going to do it. Have you ever twisted the truth to get out of trouble? So this boy is just trying to do the same. See, in classes 1 to 5, we must make sure that all the chapters and all the poems that we pick, the child should be able to smile at the end of everything. And when we say teach values, now if you say that teaching values which are in your face are like very, say, that's a more like very pedantic. If you say be honest, the child is not going to be honest because you're preaching the child to be honest. The child has to have everyday examples. And I think in schools like yours, in these missionary schools, it just comes naturally because you're just taking the child gradually. But when I was growing up, let me tell you, times were different. And our nuns, we had something called Soldiers of God. So where there were those, graphic text stories on how people did good and what good came out of it. Now, all this kind of thing that no religion, whatever, I think, I think now with father sitting over there, I can't say, but I would have said that I think I know the Bible better than you, but I'm not going to say because father will know better than me, because, it's also a work of literature. It's also a work of literature. It gives you values which you need to imbibe. It also, our literature is based on that. We call it universal values which come from there. So we cannot ignore such things. Okay, coming to this, the child. Now, when we look at this, dear mom, while you were out, I'm just going to read 1 or 2 poems for you, which are very, very quick. Otherwise, I want to do something more important than that. Dear mom, while you were out, a cup went and broke itself. A crack appeared in the old blue vase your great-great-granddad bought from Mr. Ming in China. Somehow, Mum, without me even turning on the tap, the sink mysteriously overflowed. A strange jam stain about the size of a boy's hand appeared on the kitchen wall. I don't think we'll ever discover how the cat managed to turn on the washing machine, especially from inside, or how Sis' pet rabbit went and mistook the waste disposal unit for a burrow. I can't tell you I was really scared when, as if by magic, a series of muddy footprints appeared on your new white carpet. I was being good, honest, but I think the house is haunted. So knowing you're going to have a fit, I've gone over to Grant's for a bit. Now, this boy is not being honest. He's being anything but honest. All the mischievous things that he has done, he's broken the cup, he's broken the antique vase, which was from the Ming dynasty. He has, the sink has overflowed. He's done all kind of things. So when we talk of all this, How are we going to see? These are couplets. Sometimes, some couplets you have. Otherwise, this is called free verse. It's written by a child. So questions are simple. How old, inferring, how old do you think is the speaker of? It's a child of about maybe 5-7 years old, and he's written it like a letter. Therefore, the lines are uneven. For grown-ups like us, we're talking of meter. So, but how do we teach this, and what is the purpose of assortment of different poems? Here, free verse, written like a letter. The child is making excuses. It's humorous. But when we talk in terms of values, if you see this poem, in the end of the poem, there is that this child, he realizes he's made a mistake by being so dishonest to the mother. So he writes a letter to the mother. So he says, Mother, I want to apologize because I've not been completely honest. I want to tell you what happened. He'll say that then the children have to complete the letter. He was playing ball perhaps and he hit it. What could have actually happened? And the cup broke. He was running around in the room when he dashed against the table so basically, when everything now, one is skills, life skills, and it is values. In addition to appreciation of poetry, a simple thing like ant explorer who goes various places to, technically, class 5 onwards, we start with tone, mood, setting, and appreciation, which continues up to class 12. Tone and mood is of the character, poet, or the playwright, or the story writer. Tone and mood, whether it's a happy mood, it's a scared mood, it's a horrified mood, it's a thoughtful mood, we have to identify. Setting, where does it take place? Now, sometimes in the story and in the poem, the mood keeps changing. Like in the Ant Explorer, he sets out very happily to explore the world, but then he's so frightened because he goes under a fern and everything, and he comes back. Change of mood. So if you see your papers which have been put up today, we have already put it in the books. I'm so sorry. So it is first, where does it take place? There can be movement. He moves from place to place. That is setting. Tone and mood. Sometimes he's happy, sometimes he's scared because he's going to different places. And what is the writing style? So basically, he went up 7-inch mountain. It's a poor little ant. For him, is a 7 inches, a huge mountain. So basically, you can also, because now pandemic time, you can also have these multiple pictures which describe every scene. The child will pick up one line from the story and match it to each picture, right? So basically, what are we doing? Creating visual images. Telling the child, we are preparing for the child for the next level of understanding. Somebody's mother, you have mother who wants to cross the road, it's rhyming couplet. Here it is about, and the mother in the end, she prays for the child. So basically, here, by the time they come to class 6, in class 5, basically they have simile, they have metaphor, they have rhyme scheme, they have only, like, say 5 to 7, we say poetic devices, alliteration, inversion, all this is up to class 5. And by the time they come to class 6, 7, 8, we have visual imagery, we have tactile imagery, we have the understanding. You will get to know from your board papers which have been put up that when we talk of appreciation is nothing but literary merit, literary appreciation. And this will come, this is also there in the form of multiple choice questions. Therefore, the children have to, literary appreciation has to be done. So basically, when we talk in terms of poetry, as I just showed you the poem, it's personification, it's types of imagery. I'm so sorry, I'm running out of time. One more time. So, well, for the poetry, I do not know what books you're using, but in case you're using OUP books, I can share all the PPTs with Suja ma'am. She can pass them on to your school. I'll speak to Suja ma'am after your thing is done. And then we can talk in terms of, see, basically, okay, I'm just going to I'm not going to lengthen this discussion about poetry because I had thought I will talk of skill training because Suja ma'am's been telling me that you talk in terms of how to train for reading skills, writing skills, listening and speaking. I've hardly come to that because innovative pedagogy would mean first you teach discreetly. Discrete, first listening is separate, speaking is separate, reading is separate, writing is separate. Then you start integrating it. For example, let's say this is an abandoned, okay, let's not talk of poetry. I'm just going to summarize and talk before I take up your questions. So see, when you talk in poetry, we have to see what kind of poem are we talking about. Are we talking about a poem which has a literary merit or which has more content? And the writing skill, art activities, everything has to be based on that particular poem. And if you're talking to me in terms of classes 9 and 10, then I can tell you that in classes 9 and 10, tone, mood, appreciation questions are being asked, as you can see in your papers which have been put up today. You have to make sure that your children know analytical paragraph and case study. And yeah, you asked me about portfolio. Let me answer that question before I go to something else. The question that you had asked, as I said, that there is a document which is put up on the CBSE website, 32-page document. It was uploaded a few days back, which in 3 pages has explained portfolio. I will summarize it in a few lines. I will share the document with you. What does portfolio mean? See, basically, portfolio is a compilation of it's a compilation of a child's performance over a period of time. For example, over a period of time, how has the child performed, whether the child has improved or gone down, and how has the CBSE wanted a portfolio activity? Basically, you could tell the child over a year, you must have told the child, write a paragraph, complete this worksheet, to write this or do this or this listening speaking task, how would you, or a panel discussion. Then you tell the child that you give the child some self-assessment and peer assessment rubrics. And you tell the child that basically what you have to do is you pick up 7 or 10 more 10 activities, 7 or 10 activities that you think according to you where you have done good job. And then you have a 3-way communication between the parent and the child and you. So in front of the child will say, I think I have picked up this work because this work is good because of this. So what the child did at the beginning of the year and what the child did in the end of the year will be very clear. You will get to know how much the child has progressed over a period of time. Now, as a teacher, you have your discretion to assess the child based on that. It's 5 marks, portfolio activity. In short, a portfolio activity is basically, it's a compilation of a child's work over a period of time, which will tell you whether the child has progressed, stagnated, or regressed. Regression basically does not happen very easily unless there is an emotional problem with the child or something. And that is a portfolio. Please explain the new pattern of QP recently. What is QP? I'm sorry, I don't know what a QP is. If you could.
Question pattern.
Okay, question paper. This is classes 9 and 10. I will WhatsApp to Suja ma'am. You haven't downloaded the paper pattern? Do you have? See, it's 100 mark. If I start explaining 100 marks to you, it's going to take away quite a bit of your time. So you tell me, do you have? See, you have what is new over there? You have an analytical paragraph which is new over there, and you have a case study which is new over there, and you have multiple choice questions which are new over there. So in case you're looking for the format, how to do it, or if you're looking at the marking scheme, it has all been put up on your website today. If you still have a question on that, I will be more than happy to answer it. Or if you If you want a presentation on how to attempt each question, we can do it. Suja ma'am can either give me the questions, or we can have your poems, or we can have a separate session on class 9, 10, 11, 12, where I can deal with specific poems and how to deal with poems, how to deal with poetry, how to deal with reading, how to deal with writing. We can do that also if you want. Only thing is that you have to be comfortable with whatever you are doing. I'm so sorry, I'm not able to scroll this. If you could tell me how to overcome mother tongue influence in small children while teaching English language. Okay, auxiliary verbs are helping verbs. Okay, you have asked very specific questions now. Okay, we call it MLT, mother tongue interference or mother tongue influence now. So how do you see now this NEP very categorically states is when you are teaching English, it is mother tongue. They have not negated mother tongue. In fact, they have also given you the option that if up to classes 1 to 5 you want to teach in your mother tongue, it's all right. But then English is a language of social mobility also. You will have parents who are in government service, army, for example, where they're all over the country. So they will not go to schools where you're teaching in your mother tongue, because every 3 years, every 4 years, the child is being sort of put into a different school in a different state. So therefore, mother tongue interference or mother tongue influence, you can call it either way. It cannot be removed. The only thing is now when we are talking, now you're speaking and listening, there will come a time when in class 9 and 10 and 12, your speaking and listening will have an external examiner. So when we are talking in terms of speaking, we are talking of not a British accent, not an American accent. We are just talking of a neutral accent. Neutral accent means that the moment you start talking, you don't give your mother tongue away. Every state has a very typical mother tongue interference. For example, in North India, we have a problem with consonant clusters. Wherever there's a consonant cluster, we use our own vowel sound. A plate becomes a palate. A scooter becomes a scooter. So basically, so similarly, when it comes to your state, basically, I have seen there's a mix of words of M, N, L. So basically, when we say, we call it diagnostic. Every exercise that you do, whether it is speaking, listening, um, reading, writing, you have to have a diagnostic test. For everything, diagnostic assessments are very easy to have, where you will create the rubrics and you will assess the whole class. Where has generally the class gone wrong? So when you come across children who are going wrong on one particular concept or two concepts or three concepts, you have to remedify. And your lesson plan has been given in the same 32 pages booklet, which has been released by the CBSE. If I were to show you a different, like, so you have to basically have diagnostic tests. 1 minute, I'm sharing my screen. Okay. Can you see the thing, or I have to share it again?
Yes.
You can see developing writing skills. So basically, you have to diagnose where the child is going wrong in different skills. I know Suja ma'am had told me, so I'm ready with all my presentations. I can share my presentation with you as Suja ma'am will tell me to do, because my changes and examples of changes took away so much of time. So basically, when we talk in terms of hurdles, what are the hurdles? Basically, we are talking in terms of 5 hurdles. One is lack of ideas. They don't know what to write because they never think. You put them in front of a screen, you put them in front of a TV. We call this as thrill a minute generation. They want thrill every single minute. So basically, I do not know if you have noticed, now these children who are using the computer, my children, even we people, 20 sites are open at the same time while we are working, because we have no patience. Even when there's an advertisement on the TV, we quickly surf channels. because we have no patience. So unless thinking skills are honed, they first and foremost is they refuse to think. They have no ideas. So first, hurdle thinking. Second is vocabulary, because we need to enrich their vocabulary. When I say enrich their vocabulary, I don't mean that they should use very ornamental language, but they should be, and pressurizing the child to say have a very wide vocabulary. When it comes to children, we say, what are the spellings of rhinoceros? What are the spellings of dinosaur? Are we going to trip them or what? I do not understand the logic behind that. When as adults we are happy calling it a rhino and a hippo, I wonder why should the children learn rhinoceros and hippopotamus? So these are basically memory things. Memory is important. So for second is lack of vocabulary. Third is framing of sentences, grammatical. Fifth is the skill of writing, where we call format. And fifth, and the last is motivation to write, motivation to do the task, whether it's writing, spelling, whatever. So, and when I was talking in terms of innovative pedagogy, let me tell you that, of course, even I feel very handicapped doing a workshop on a webinar, because it's just one-way traffic. I don't even know whether, I'm in pace with you. So I can imagine the ordeal that you people have to go every single day. Now, earlier there was just one way of dictation. When I was a baby, there was only one word was given to us as dictation. And when we grew up, we got one paragraph where we had to write, and where we were the handwriting, spelling, punctuation, everything was looked at. Now, as of today, there are 200 ways of dictation which have been documented. 200 ways, which means there's a memory dictation, there's a silent dictation, there is a shadow dictation, so there's a picture dictation. Everything has their different learning outcomes. So when we innovate, we have to talk in terms of different type of dictations. No, nothing is being undermined, but we are just leading them to higher order thinking skills. Now, when you talk in terms, what kind of activities can be given to improve spellings and grammar? I have seen those two questions. I'm going to summarize them. See, when it comes to spelling, now in CBSE, we say that unless there are 4 spelling mistakes in one piece, stop cutting marks, which is not really fair. Because why we are doing it? Because now with artificial intelligence, with laptops coming in, where there is autocorrect system, learning up spellings is losing its values the way it did earlier. Now it's autocorrect. I can keep talking nonsense, and the computer will keep correcting it. And here, there is only, we have different games basically for that as well, which we have included in the books. The child looks at something, and only by what does an advertisement do for us? When we look at various advertisements, why do advertisements stay in our mind? Because we are throwing them up again and again. That is what the books we are creating now. For example, and usually teachers who are teaching class 9, 10, 11, 12 will know that the children at your level also 9, 10, they say, what is the format of this? What is the format of that? What is the format of the letter? What is the format of the notice? They will ask you again and again. So therefore, what we start doing is we start throwing word maths at them right from the beginning. We start giving them solved examples of formats, of emails, of mail, of letter writing. There are questions based on that. Why we are giving the formats again and again is that by default, they look at something and it gets imprinted. But when I say that spellings are not all that important today, but I don't mean that spellings up to class 5, just as, tables. We said tables are not important anymore because your computer does that for you. And that's not the kind of questions we're going to ask. But up to class 5, basically, they have to learn up to a certain level to build on that. So spelling can be by way of staring at it, that is repeated throwing up of spellings. It can be by repetition, but certainly not what our teachers made us do was write 100 times. the same thing. It becomes boring. Now we have word games, we have vocabulary games, we have spelling games, we have grammar games. If you know what tic-tac-toe is or what tambola is or what housey is, it's the same thing. We have games like that. I can see questions coming up. I'm just going to open your yes, please conduct a separate session for class 9 to 12 classes. Yes, you can. We can have that. I think let Suja ma'am talk about it, or I can share the material with you. If you still want a session, I don't have an issue on the day when I'm free. I can do it for you. But nevertheless, first I will share all the information with you so that you are ready with questions. If you want, I see as a say trainer, every poem of yours has been put on a PowerPoint for me. So for me to explain what the kind of questions are going to be asked and what you expected to answer, I can do that also for you. That's not an issue, but please give me the time. Today I will share what you need to read so that you are ready with it, and you feel that okay, we need more help. Then for 9 to 12 we can definitely work out with Suja.
Ma'am, we have participants who have raised their hands. Let me
Yes,
connect to them.
yes, please.
Bindu ma'am, can you hear me? Please on the video and unmute yourself, Bindu ma'am. Bindu ma'am, can you hear me? I think some sort of network issues are there. So
Yeah,
to the next person.
looks like.
Yeah.
I've already sent your marking scheme to Suja ma'am. She'll share it with you. And I'll also send your the 32-page booklet, which talks lesson plans have to be the same from baby onwards. So now CBSE, like last year, it wanted the lesson plans, and see how hurriedly we people have done, which was not very nice. So I think our lesson plans have to be correctly formulated. How to do the lesson plans has also been put over there. And if you feel that you still can't answer the lesson plan, so when we come in next time for classes 9 and 10, I will definitely do the lesson plans also with you. Or if you want to know right now, we can talk about that right now.
Smita ma'am, can you hear me? Smita ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, please on the video.
Hello.
Ma'am, you're audible. Please on the video also. You can talk to Gayatri ma'am.
Hello.
Fine.
Hi.
Good
Hi.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, if you don't mind, can you please explain how to teach the students? Some misspelled words will be there. For example, like accommodate. If two zeros
IE,
will be there.
yes, IE, and then the double letter words. Yes, these are common problem. See, one, as I said, that word mat, picking up the right words in the right spellings, unscramble the words. We say you jumble up the spellings and let them do that. We in our books have put a lot of crosswords also, and the number of alphabets in that word, as well as, so we are basically through one exercises, we are not only teaching spellings, we are also teaching homonyms, we are teaching in terms of enriching the vocabulary. So if you teach one thing at a time, it's going to sap up your time. You won't be able to do it. So crosswords is a game that is suggested in your NEP and by the NCERT and by the CBSE, whether it's crosswords, whether it's word webs, whether it is a word quiz, all that has been used in the books already. So Suja ma'am can either share it or share this presentation that I was showing. She can share that with you. So you can pick up word games. Memory, memorizing words is the easiest way, but that becomes very, very boring for the children. So one or time they can be directly memorizing, the other time they can be just even looking at a word repeatedly, as I told you that, but please don't worry, please don't be in a hurry. As I said that I told you I was a dyslexic. I couldn't read, I couldn't write. And because I couldn't read and write, all my subjects were very weak. My only aim in life has been to get married and stop studying. But then God saddles you with something that you don't want to do. So see, as an old woman also I'm dealing with books. But I tell you, teachers make a world's lot of difference. Just keep encouraging them. That's what I feel. Basically, to learning is just games, spelling games, vocabulary, crosswords. There's nothing more to it because it's basically memory.
Okay, so what about pronunciation, ma'am? That will also be
Pronunciation we
difficult.
talk, but there's some grammar, like some spelling rules like IE and EI. That rules they have to be taught, but 6th standard onwards. Yeah, so now pronunciation, we are talking of a neutral accent. We are not talking of a British accent, and we are not talking of a American accent. We are just talking of a neutral accent. By neutral accent, we mean that we don't give a mother tongue away. That when I talk to you, you shouldn't listen to me and you feel that, okay, this woman is from that part of the country. So we call it neutral accent. We now call it Pan-Asian accent or Indian accent. It has been accepted. Your mother tongue interference has to be removed. Neutral accent is perfectly acceptable across the world.
Okay, ma'am. And some one more question: grammatical errors. Some common grammatical errors. Few students still they have confused has or have, which one they want to use.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We have grammar games. In fact, we have a diagnostic for everything. We have to have a diagnostic. What are the common errors? And then we have to reinforce those errors. For example, double past. That's something which I've seen very often in India, because very often, how I noticed was that when I used to go to a school, the teachers used to sometimes tell the principal, tell tell the principal, madam has came, double past. So basically we have to identify what are the things. Now what NCRT says, I'll tell you. NCRT says that definitions have not to be learned, because definitions do you no good at all. Because if I say noun is the name of a person, place of the thing, no, we have first picking up nouns, using them discreetly. Shall I show you some noun games? Then it will be easier for me to talk to you. I'll share a screen and show you some little noun game, which I have. Okay, I have already shut that or what. So let's talk in terms of, we call them grammar games. So we have to use these games regularly. My God. Here it is. I'm just going to show you one or two games. How do you teach grammar? Because this question has come up earlier also. We have used these grammar games everywhere, I think. I just was not able to show you all that. No, I'm sorry, it's not here. I'm sorry, it's not here on this. But otherwise, what I'll do is I'll WhatsApp these grammar games to Suja ma'am right away. Because if I close this and start, you're already running out of time.
Oh, okay. And one more thing, ma'am. 2 days back, we received a new pattern of sample question papers.
That's right.
So lots of changes are there. Even in the English question paper also, that comprehension pattern questions will be slightly some changes. So can you please, and even yesterday, and even in the today's newspaper also, it is given 50% syllabus will be deducted. So
it's not 50% actually, because see, grammar, some topics have been deducted. That's one thing. I have just sent your syllabus to Suja ma'am right away while you were talking to me. I've sent it to her, and it is, see, that when you're talking of a different question paper, this was given to you, I think about 6 months back, that there has to be an analytical paragraph, there has to be case study, and there have to be X number of multiple choice questions. So that's exactly what has come into the sample paper. And what was the second part of the question? Yes, the number of chapters that have been reduced in class 10 and 12. have also been given. They are not 50%. There are fewer chapters than that which have been reduced, but the grammar topics have also been reduced. So let's say if you have reduced 5 chapters and 5 grammar topics, so that comes to about maybe about 30% or 35% of your syllabus now. 50% of syllabus if we reduce, then how will they
No,
go in for NEET?
that is a recent news, ma'am. This is 30% already detected, and we got the circular 2 months back. But yesterday the news came like that. It's not finalized. They were
No, it
telling.
is. Their papers have been loaded today, madam. So I have
Okay.
sent those papers to Suja ma'am, and she'll give them to you.
Oh,
And even the
okay.
syllabus, the Suja ma'am will give them to you.
Oh, okay, okay.
I've
Thank you.
already sent it to her while I was speaking to you.
Okay, and one more thing, ma'am. That art integrated project and art integrated learning. That one, actually, art integrated project we want to submit for class 1 to 12 or 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
1 to
It
10.
is
So what up?
basically. It is basically like they have in that booklet of 32 pages, which I think you must have missed out. It was uploaded yesterday or day before. So there they have bifurcated it. Only 32 pages booklet. It's on the desktop, but I don't want to lose my link because we are running out of time. So within 10 minutes, Suja ma'am will get it, and you can read there. Every mark has been described to you. Where do you get that mark from? For example, whether it is 5 marks, listening, speaking, then it is this portfolio, everything, every mark, how to give the students, it has been explained to you over there. If you want, in the next few days, whenever you are free, I think I'm tied up 16 and some other dates for webinars. I have to do it for the eastern part of the country as well. So in case you have, even if it's not a webinar, even if few of you come on the Zoom platform, I can do that for you. That's not a worry. It's not a worry at all.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Because when Kala Setu app, no, when we're trying, it's only up to 10th it was there. Then what about 11 and 12? Actually, in the circular, it is given when we uploaded, then only we can download the admit card of the grade 10 and 12. So what about 11 and 12? Is there any other option to download that one? I mean, upload that the projects?
11, see, in class 12, you just have listening, speaking for class 12. And therefore, the art project over there is missing. It's not there. So there won't be any place to upload that. No, listening, speaking, yes, you have to upload.
Okay, that's what, ma'am. I didn't find anything in the site. That's a confusion little bit. Okay, ma'am. Thank you
You
so much.
please relax. Don't worry. Whenever you think of a question, it's something to do with CBSE or NCRT, you can tell Suja ma'am. I'll answer it then and there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Smita ma'am. Ma'am, if you could please stop screen sharing, it will be better.
Okay. Sorry.
One more person.
See, I had put up so much on the speaking, listening because this is Suja ma'am is a taskmaster, right? She had made me do all that. But somehow,
Ma'am,
okay.
can you go to the
Now,
last person who has raised the hand? The last person. Let me allow. Okay. Radha ma'am, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Radha ma'am? Radha Mani, can you hear me? Network issues are there.
our network issues. I think because too many people have put on their cameras, so that's why the brand width is not that much.
Okay, ma'am. So let us wind up the session. I think no more queries are here. So thank you very much, ma'am, for this informative session. Let me invite Ms. Lakshmi Krishnan, one of our faculty members, to propose the vote of thanks. Lakshmi.
I think the links, because I think we all of us are using videos, therefore the bandwidth has started failing us. Don't worry at all. It was a pleasure meeting you. It was a pleasure being with you, and I'm happy and comfortable. So please don't bother. Thanks a lot for being here. All your material will be forwarded. The other 32-page document will also be forwarded. If you have specific questions, all right. Even if one person wants to speak to me, I can talk on the phone. Pooja ma'am will share that with you. You please don't worry about anything.
So many
Just relax.
so many participants are asking for the slides that you have presented today. They're telling that it's very good and they want that. That is what they told.
Okay, these are all from the books. It should not look like an advertisement of a book, but I'll pass on all this to Suja ma'am today.
Yeah. Yeah, Lakshmi, say Lakshmi, please move on to the water tanks.
Thank you, ma'am. A very happy evening to one and all present here. I'm very glad to express the words of gratitude to all who became part of today's webinar session. According to the American pragmatist John Dewey, communication is a process of sharing experience till it becomes a common possession. It modifies the disposition of both the parties who partake in it. So I believe this session could modify the concept each of us already had regarding the pedagogy and assessment of the English language teaching. Also, about the new aspects of teaching English as a second language or foreign language. I appreciate the presentation of our resource person, Ms. Gayatri Khanna from Oxford University Press, for her valuable time she spent with us with much more precious and informative words. Ma'am, I express you the sincere gratitude on behalf of Christnagar Public School, Maranalloor. Thank you, ma'am. Now,
Thanks a lot.
I would like to thank our manager, Reverend Father Tito Valavandra CMI, whose presence and support is a motivation for all the members of the CNPSM family. Thank you, Father. I must extend our heartfelt gratitude to the head of our institution, our principal, Reverend Father Joshi Mayamparambil CMI, whose timely guidance and constant support lead our institution forward even amidst the challenges. We owe to you, Father, for the successful organization of our webinar series that have been going on for the last few days and especially for today. Thank you, Father. It was a friendly cooperation of the product head of the Oxford University Press and her timely help by providing one of their expert trainers as the resource person of our webinar what made the session fruitful. On behalf of CNPSM, I extend my sincere words of gratitude to you, Suja ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Always there is tireless effort behind every success. Today, the Department of English could arrange such a platform because of the teamwork we had under the supervision of our HOD, Ms. Sujitra Bevi, who is the moderator of today's session. Thank you, Sujitra ma'am. Thank you, dear teachers. The success of this session depends on the feedback we receive from our audience. My humble gratitude to all the principals, vice principals, teachers, and students from various other institutions whose presence could make the session a grand success. Special thanks to the people who interacted and made the session fruitful. I'm sure this was a meaningful webinar for you. I also thank our staff secretaries, Mr. Vijit Kumar and Ms. Shamini, along with all other faculty members from our school who have joined with us in this occasion. It is your active participation that made this webinar a resounding success. Thank you all for joining us, accepting our invitation, and we look forward to your active participation in the coming webinars also. Hope you all enjoyed this section. Once again, thank you all for the great support. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lakshmi. It was truly a wonderful session. As everyone noted down, it was truly a wonderful session. Once again, a big thank you to Gayatri ma'am and
Thanks a lot.
our principal father for arranging such a session for us. And I've already invited so many teachers from around India. That's what we can say, from around India. There are so many from other states also. Anyway, a big thank you to all of you for joining us and making this occasion a grand success. And we've already posted the feedback form in the chat box. Please fill the feedback form and thereby you can receive the e-certificates. And we hope your active participation in the coming webinars also. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for being such a happy audience. Pandemic and all of you are smiling away. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Father, please, we're about to say something.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. It is very inspiring one.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So thanks a lot for joining. Wish you all a good day.